Hello everyone and you are welcome back to Adapting Education. I'm Natana and let's start adapting education together. For today's video, I'm gonna continue synthetic fibers and plastics. Before going, let's just have an overview of the session 1 which we had with the adapting education. Yeah. In, in the first session, I introduced you to myself as this was my first video. We had covered all the synthetic fibers. We are not touched plastics. Yeah, what are synthetic fibers? I'm just recapitulating everything. The fibers which are created in laboratories using chemicals by human beings are called as synthetic fibers, and they can also be called as man-made fibers. And synthetic fibers is just like a polymer. Polymer can be broken into two Greek words, which is poly, which is many, and mer, which is units or parts. A polymer has also a process which is also known as polymerization, and it is the process of making the monomer molecules, which is one unit molecules, react together through a chemical reaction and produce three-dimensional polymer chains. Sorry, three-dimensional networks can also be known as polymer chains. I prefer you to remember polymer chains because that's easy, and this process is called as polymerization. Here I have given an example of polymerization of polyethylene types of synthetic fibers. So there are rayon, nylon, polyester, and acrylic. Though there are more, but these are the most out or famous or important synthetic fibers. Rayon is also called as artificial silk. It is obtained from a natural source, which is wood pulp, but it is marked as a man-made fiber because of the excessive use of chemicals in it. Applications can be, you can see it in clothes, bed sheets, carpets, etc. Nylon is also used for rock climbing. Thus, it's a strong material, and the fact is that it is stronger than steel wire. It is a man-made fiber without any usage of natural raw materials. Now remember, it is prepared from coal, water, and air. It is strong and elastic, right? It is strong, elastic, and light. Now, as I said, coal, water, and air, these are not raw natural materials, thus, the previous statement is correct. It is lustrous, meaning it's shiny, it's easy to wash, and we can use many articles made from nylon, such as socks, belts, etc. Polyester is another synthetic fiber. It is a fiber, uh, it is made from a fibers made from this fiber don't get wrinkled easily. Okay, so they are wrinkleless. They're wrinkleless. It's a polycot is a mixture of polyester, which is polyester and cotton. Polywool is a mixture of polyester and wool. It remains crisp, easy to wash, and is suitable for making dress materials, as I just said, polycot and polywool. PET is a very familiar form of polyester. It is used for making bottles, utensils, films, wires, etc. Acrylic is the wool obtained from natural source. Acrylic is just like cheat wool. We also use sweaters and shawls made from this, and the wool obtained from resources is quite expensive, as this one is cheap. Then we saw the advantages, which is that synthetic fibers are cheap, durable, easy to wash, and they're available in variety of colors. The disadvantage is that they can catch fire and melt on heating, thus meaning, or we can conclude that we should not wear them where we have fire, because what will happen, what the result will be, the fibers taking on your skin, which is not good. Now, the part 2, which was coming soon, is here. Now, we're going to discuss about synthetic fibers and plastics, part 2, which is plastic. So, I guess everybody has heard about plastics, and we also know that they are a big problem, right? So, first, let's know what are plastics. So, I have written down points, and now I'm going to frame them. Plastic is just like a polymer. What we just recapitulated, it's just like a polymer which is similar to synthetic fibers. Okay, this can be recycled, reused, colored, melted, etc. But not all kinds of plastics, which we'll get to know a bit more late now. So the plastics which get deformed easily on heating and you can mold them in various shapes, those are known as thermoplastics. And plastics which once molded cannot soften even on heating are known as thermosetting plastics. And this is also another point which is important, that plastic articles are available in all possible shapes and sizes, right? Yeah, so now let me tell you something more about thermosetting and thermoplastics. Okay, so these are two kinds of plastics. First, let's see about thermoplastics. So, as I just said, that the plastics which can get deformed easily on heating, which means they can also get bent easily. Those are kind of plastics are known as thermoplastics. Okay, so these, like if you put them near, like if you heat them, you can form them in you can easily form them in various shapes, like square, triangle, whatever you want. And these kind of plastics are known as thermoplastics. But just vice versa of these, there are plastics which are known as thermosetting plastics. Okay, so these, once you molded them, you can't soften them or even mold them again, even after heating, right? These are non-flexible, we can say, and the thermoplastics are flexible, we can say this, right? So let's move on. Yeah, characteristics of plastics. So by characteristics, again, we mean the properties. So everything has its own positive and negative effect, and does that also happens with plastics. Okay, so first let's see the positive effect. So plastics are light in weight, they are durable, they are cheap, non-reactive, poor conductor of heat and electricity. Light in weight means that they are, light in weight, right? They're not heavy. Durable, they can live on for a long period of time. Cheap, they are less expensive. Non-reactive, they do not react. They are poor conductor of heat and electricity. They are like they conduct heat and electricity poorly, right? Now the negative effect, these are non-biodegradable. And plastic pollution, we must have heard plastic pollution because that's quite a problem even in India. And not just India, it's like most of the parts of the world, right? So first, now let's, by biodegradable means that it doesn't degrade in the environment, right? So it's just thrown in the landfills, it doesn't go and mix up with the soil. And now let's go deep in plastic pollution, as it's a major problem. So what can be the prevention? So prevention of plastic pollution is to follow the 5R principle, which we'll see in the next slide. And the causes is that uh, it can be caused by the burning of plastics. It takes several years to decompose, and throwing of plastic in the water bodies, as it is also killing the fishes. Also, one aspect which I didn't write over here is the loss of awareness of people. People are not aware about this, right? Now, this is the 5R cycle for waste management and plastics, right? So the most preferred option is in green and the last resort is in lightest blue. So reduce, which is generating less waste in everyday life. Okay, reuse, repairing or reconditioning devices apart for reuse. You can reuse things. Recycle, turning material into a new substance or product. recover energy when you can't recycle, disposal, finally landfill when there's no alternative left. So, well, you should try these four, and then if there's no alternative, you can't figure out a way, you go to disposal. But this should be the least, okay? This should be the most preferred, right? So thank you for watching and thanks for adapting education. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye.